Well, CGTN's Rochelle Akufo spoke with Willamette University Professor Yan Liang to make sense of the numbers.
I think the PMI report shows that the recovery has been stabilized. So the economy is now still recovering and it's expanding in a healthy pace. When you look at the composite PMI, it increased to 54.3 in May from 53.8 back in April. So that indicates a healthy and stable recovery.
So then as we see that, we did also see that the National Bureau of Statistics showed that Chinese businesses in manufacturing and services laid off more workers than they hired in May. Why is this happening, and what can be really done to reverse that trend?
Right. I think that is the most concerning aspect of the entire report to me. So yes, the manufacturing sector has been expanding, even though it's slowed down a little bit back from the April number. So the manufacturing sector is, the PMI is at 51 compared to 51.1 back in April. So that is still in the expansionary zone. And the service sector and the construction sector combined together, that index actually has gone up quite a bit from 54.9 to 55.2 from April to May. So that's an indication of healthy expansion of activities in both sectors. But unfortunately, the employment indexes for both sectors have continued in that negative, in the contraction territory. So that is very concerning. I think one of the reasons is because, as the global economy is still in a pretty fragile state, the recovery is still quite uncertain. So the forward-looking businesses are still trying to figure out whether they should continue to expand and employ more people, or they should continue with their current capacity and even lay off some workers because their demand is simply not projected to grow to justify that employment number. So we see also raw material price has gone up quite a bit. Prices of copper, iron ore, steel, they've surged this year. So I think there are many factors that are still complicated and still uncertain for businesses. Not to mention, service sector, it is expanding, but now we still see a few outbreaks here and there in China for coronavirus. So that is another cautionary tale for business.
And one other thing that we're seeing, a couple of economic factors all happening at the same time. We're seeing this with a lot of countries: increasing debt, rising commodity prices, as you mentioned, and then, of course, erosion of foreign reserves. What are your thoughts on how China could manage this?
Right. So one of the things that I think China is facing with right now is the appreciation of the RMB. So RMB has gained 1.7% just this month in May. So what that means is that it will undercut some of the export capacity, some of the export competitiveness. So I think for China, it has been doing very well in terms of export growth, throughout the pandemic and the economic recovery. So I think that will continue to pan out. I think China will continue to do well for exports. I'm not too worried about, the reduction in terms of official exchange reserves. Some of those are because of valuation, as Chinese yuan gets stronger and dollar gets weaker. So that needs to be factored into the price of, the values of the foreign exchanges and so on. And China has been very good in attracting foreign direct investment. So I think all of these would mean, the economy in terms of external financial flows would be relatively stable. And I think the government is also, watching out for the evolution, for the changes in the, foreign exchange reserves and foreign inflows and outflows. And they will try to monitor and regulate, speculative flows.
Something else that did come out recently overnight was China announcing its support for families that want to add a third child. Give us a bit of information about the details about that plan and perhaps what that could mean for the economy if it has the right support.
Right. So the details are still in the making, but the idea is that, with the recent census data release, that the Chinese government realized that it's important for China to further liberalize that family planning and birth control policy. So as you know, that China has phased out that one-child policy. And so now the idea is that we need to continue to expand and allow families to have, more than just 2 children. And one of the things that I think is clear from the census is that China's working population is shrinking. So the last 10 years, the working population has reduced by 40 million. So that sends a sense of urgency to the policymaker that China needs to encourage more fertility. Right now, the fertility rate is about 1.3. So it's important to allow families who have the willingness and capacity to have more children to actually have more children. That would help to stabilize the population growth and also help to improve the population structure.